And Tea for Two this afternoon sees us looking at favours. A favour for you, a favour for me. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Whether you're fixing a bike, mending curtains, offering some sort of advice, reflexology, well, it doesn't matter what it is. And to tell us all about it is John Durrant, who is the founder and director of something called Favabank. Nice to see you, John. Thanks so much for coming in.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me.
So I was saying to you during Rod Stewart there, off air, that it's perhaps the kind of thing that if you needed your bicycle fixing, and Derek, who lived at number 12, was particularly good at bikes, back in the old days, you might have gone and knocked on his door and asked him to do it, and in return you might well have, I don't know, given him a lift to the cash and carry or something. So it's that kind of premise. But we seem to have got away from that. There's a sort of social awkwardness, isn't there?
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, I'd happily knock on my next door neighbour's door, and they would happily knock on mine, but I don't know the people, say, 6 doors, 7 doors down the road, and I wouldn't feel too comfortable about, knocking on their door and saying, hey, I'm the chap down the road, can I borrow a cup of sugar, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I think a favour really kind of sort of defines what it is to be in a community. It's that kind of thing, really.
Without it having to money having to change hands, and it's very quick, very easy to forget that you might need a favour doing one day. I think that's what you've got to bear in mind.
Well, exactly, and also I think if you do ask somebody a favour, often they'll bend over backwards to help you, and you want to be asked, and the person doing the favour is actually getting more out of it in a way than the person receiving. It's sort of creating that social bond, and I think
the exception to the rule might be my producer, but don't. It's a joke. Well, that's a joke. Why are you looking at me like that? It's just a joke. Yeah, no, you're right. Of course, they're only too happy to help, but they're breaking the ice thing. So you had an idea of setting up this, which is the idea is it will be a sort of cooperative, some sort of self-sustaining network, and using, I suppose, what's replaced maybe the street, which is the internet.
Yeah, it's a way of getting to know people through asking a favour. And to remove that awkwardness, and by being able to broadcast what you can offer and what you need online. So there might be somebody who's great at fixing bikes down at number 12, but if I don't know that he or she is great at fixing bikes, then we're never going to meet, are we? No. So the idea behind Favabank is it's just a way of broadcasting your needs, your skills, the things that you might want to help with. And actually, being a kind of like a dating agency for people that are happy to get a little bit more involved in their street and in their local neighbourhoods.
Be interesting to see how that pans out, because people advertise all sorts of things online and what it is they're after. Say no more. But we still have that initial sort of social awkwardness, don't we? That although it might be all right to put on Facebook, Joe's in a bad mood today and he's just had a cup of tea, as if anyone cares, whether or not putting on there, Joe really needs someone to mend the gears on his bike before this weekend because he's taking his son, whether people will respond. So did you research it, or did you just sort of follow suit that if people are willing to share all sorts of information, it would stand to reason, one would hope, that they would be only too keen to maybe help other people out?
Yeah, I guess it's a kind of a development from things like Facebook, where people just sort of talk about anything, and to create something where people can actually interact and do something for each other. And previously, I'd done quite a lot of this. I'd often, looked for sort of bartering opportunities. I'll do a little bit of web design for you if you, can do something back for me. But
tile the bathroom or something.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But with Favabank, you don't need to find that match. You can. It's got its own currency, which actually manages the transactions between people. So, if I give,
so there's a record, is there, of what you've done for me and what I
exactly, yeah, and that gives some accountability and some transparency to it. So you can make sure that people are being above board, because you wouldn't want to have a sort of a dodgy transaction.
No, of course not, no. And also that perhaps that awkwardness of, can you believe that Pauline, did this for her, and she, not once, and when I asked her to make me a cup, she wouldn't do it. No, that's good. How far have you got with this? I know you're sort of at the in Surrey, looking at sort of the soft launch phase. Is what we're calling it.
I mean, I live in Egham, and we've we're kind of focusing on Egham and Surrey and those sort of areas. And we've got a few hundred people on the system already, and people are actually using it, and we have had transactions happening. We've had we had one the other day where somebody was working from home, but they had forgotten their power supply to their computer, put an ad on Favabank, and my wife happens to happened to have the right power supply for an old computer that's not working anymore, and problem solved straight away. And it's the kind of thing that, where would you go to solve that? You wouldn't go to the shops just to buy a power supply for that.
No, that would be the last resort, wouldn't it? It really would, yeah.
So it's kind of working for those kind of things. So we've launched we've launched nationwide, but we're focusing around Egham and around Surrey at the moment, and now it's a case of trying to get that exposure. We've tested everything, and people are happily doing transactions without needing any support, and it's all self-contained, it's all working. And now it's a case of trying to get the message spread. We're looking for funding and help in those sort of areas. And
how ambitious would you anticipate transactions becoming? I mean, if we're in Egham and I need a computer cable, and happy days, someone in Egham, it's going to have to be someone in the vicinity, somebody in Guildford, somebody in Brighton, wherever I am. But maybe, there could be favours that are more specific. Would you anticipate the people travelling big distances? I mean, there'd be big favours. Obviously, it wouldn't be for a computer cable, but do you know what I mean?
We're kind of really at the moment. There's a limit on the size of transaction that you can do, and we're focusing around quite small, neighbourly type of transactions. So, the big stuff isn't an area that we want to get involved in, particularly at the moment. But the aim's really to sort of really become nationwide, and for the Fava, which is our currency, and it's spelled Fava, to be an accepted form of currency that people use for that.
And who decides like for like?
It's between the people. We give some guidelines, so we say that if you're doing an hour's worth of help for somebody, then charge between 10 to 20 favors. If you're passing on a second-hand item that you don't want anymore, then think of what that might cost on a second-hand basis, and just price it according to pounds. So,
and could you do it? Could you do it for nothing if you wanted to? If you didn't want to accept a favour back, I don't need this jacket anymore.
You could do it for a fraction of a favour. Yeah, it's essentially you're not, when you're transacting on the system, you're not actually sort of handing over money or anything like that.
You wouldn't be accused of defrauding favours, but under the market value or anything. No, I understand. And what about that? I mean, and safety. I know obviously you will have to have tick boxes and jump through hoops in order to make sure that everything's safe. So people have to register. Was it a concern?
People have to register, and one of the important things is making sure that people using the system are being authentic and genuine.
Yeah.
There's a few things that we're doing in there to sort of to bring about that sort of trust, and one of the things is it's a bit like Facebook, where a lot of people are familiar with Facebook now, and you add your friends on Facebook.
Yes.
You can do the same thing on Favabank, but you can also vouch for them. You can vouch for their trustworthiness and authenticity. So
like check a trade kind of a thing.
That kind of thing, but on a peer-to-peer basis. And I can say, that Joe Talbot.
Don't touch him with the rascal. I know.
Yeah, so you can vouch for your friends and family and say, these people are authentic, and recommend them. But also the system is completely open, so you can see what kind of trades and transactions somebody's done in the past. So if somebody's new to the system, then they would need to build up their transactions to appear to be somebody that might be more trustworthy.
And is this for internet users only? Because not everyone listening will be, online. Not everyone can afford it, of course. Not everyone is internet literate. But if it is just for internet users, then fair enough.
Yeah, it is at the moment. But what we plan to do is to have a local manager in each postcode district.
Okay.
And the role of that person would be to try to coordinate things and do some matchmaking, and organise things outside of the platform. So we don't want it to be socially exclusive in any way, but as we're just starting up and we don't have funding in place, we're very small, it's just really a concept, a platform, an idea at the moment that we need people to get involved with before it can really take off. We don't really have the reach and the facility to organise the sort of offline things, but really good question, and something that I'd love for the currency to be used for, because at the end of the day, that is the ethos of what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. So, you wouldn't want to be discriminated against because you weren't online. At the same time, all of those security provisions that we put in place then become more difficult to track.
But also, Favabank could be used as a way to help people when they are getting online. Somebody that's getting a computer, their first computer when they've reached their 80s or something. Maybe they're.
I find it difficult enough now. If we change any sort of thing, no, someone could come around and say, I could help you on how to get on, do some basic surfing or set up an email account.
Thing. I mean, we do rely very much on certain institutions already, and we're not aiming to replace those.
No.
It's just another thing for people to have and to think about as a way of getting things done in our neighbourhoods.
Yeah, well, it can't be any more difficult than phoning one of those call centres that they give you the number for when you get a new computer, because they're never any help. All right, well, it sounds great. And we say that it's happening around Surrey. I mean, you're a Surrey man, so that makes sense to start with, but planning to go nationally. People could take a look at it now and see what's happening?
People could take a look at it. It's got a website, which is favabank.co.uk.
And favour, as we say, is Fava bank.co.uk. And you could, if you've got something to offer or you're looking for a favour on there, then go ahead.
Exactly, give it a go.
And do you... one further question there. There might be a stack of favours you need. Do sometimes people have difficulty in establishing what they may be able to offer? You know, for some people it'd be very obvious, I can dig you a trench, I could cook you a chicken or whatever. For someone else, well, I'm not good at anything. How do you ascertain?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think there are a lot of hidden talents in our streets. And I mean, you might be, let's say you're the elderly person that's having some help with using their computer. Perhaps you could teach somebody how to knit, or some of these lost skills that are people don't have anymore. You only need to be a little bit better at a skill than the person you're teaching to actually be able to impart some knowledge.
That's true. That's true. You may not be that good at making cupcakes, but you might be much better than the person who's.
Yeah, I mean, Favabank isn't about expecting the professional service and that kind of thing. It is more about opportunities to get to know people in your community and to enjoy the process and the transaction. But if you need your house rewiring or anything like that, go and seek a professional, obviously. But if it's something like a bit of advice about how to fix your gate or unblock your sink or something like that, then maybe Favabank is an option.
All right, okay. Well, what an interesting idea. I hope it takes off, and the cooperative aspect of it, so it's self-sustaining, is rather nice. It's in the community spirit, I think. So, John, thank you so much for coming in. Good luck with it. Favabank.co.uk, favabank.co.uk. In Surrey at the moment, hoping to go national, but founder and director of said bank, John Durham, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
It's BBC Sussex, it's BBC Surrey, it's 24 minutes past 2, and